Shin has arrived at the training ground. He sat on the stairs because he was tired. Who would have thought that cold cucumber soup would come out of the berserker ring? His stomach is growling. He wanted to check the effect of the ring. He grabbed his sword, threw the sword into the air, and the sword flew like a feather. He caught the sword, it became lighter, and the cost of casting skill vanished. But the penalties increased the weight by 100 grams. For now, he only uses the greatsword. Until his stats increase, he opens his status window and looks at his profile and stats. He invested all free status points in luck to start attracting constellations. Since a player can only have one constellation, he needs to think carefully about this. If possible, he wants someone that complements his best stat, luck. He stands up from the stairs. For now, because he doesn't have the condition to attract constellations, he thinks training is all he can do. His training is over. He drives his car to attack a dungeon. He gets out of his car. He has been training for 3 days, and the long drive has exhausted him. But his training was successful because he gained basic swordsmanship skills. He reached the gate. He is going to do it alone. Shin had to wait months to enter a solo player dungeon, but he was lucky to get this dungeon. Shin looked behind him, a car parked at some distance. Who would have thought they would follow him into the woods? He does not know what they want, but he can take care of it inside the dungeon. After Shin entered the dungeon, they entered some time after. They came to kill him. They hear a sound. Shin was sitting on a rock. Shin told them it was a single-player dungeon, so why did they enter it? It is not like they made any mistake or anything, as Shin owned the dungeon. They had already prepared their weapons, they told Shin. Is he a fool or something? Shin grabbed his sword. They are not a normal party. He told them if they want to leave now, they can, as they have not brought healer or mage. They left behind the stability required for every dungeon and formed a party of only swordsmen and an archer, a party specialized in hunting humans, a hyena pack. They told him he is not something special, and if they kill him, no one will find him. Shin thought that in the past life, those players died due to the continuous surveillance of the player association. Shin knows why they came here. For such parties, dealing with an archer is the hardest. Shin waited for them to enter the dungeon. If he needs to get rid of 4 bodies, this is the perfect place. One player was angry. His captain stopped him with his sword, told him he shouldn't do it the hard way. He didn't want to listen to his boss. Shin told him to listen to his boss. He jumped towards Shin and attacked. At that moment, Shin thought, it is survival of the fittest. What better saying could there be for a dungeon? Monsters are always staking their lives, and in these dungeons, there are relics that everyone seeks. Your life is always in danger. If you become careless, you will die. Shin attack him and slice him into half. They get surprised. They started running to make some distance from Shin. As soon as they ran, he told the archer to create some distance. The archer was worried about how to kill a player who kills players that have reached up to level 100, as Shin just recently awakened. Shin spun his sword like a wheel and asked them why they were running away from him. The archer turned and shot 2 arrows at him. Shin threw his sword, which destroyed the arrows and killed him in the attack. Their boss was watching him when he threw the sword and realized that this was his chance to attack and kill Shin. Shin also ran to retrieve his sword. The boss changed direction and started running towards Shin. As they all approached each other, Shin was about to reach his sword, but the 2 attacked him before he could. The attack landed on the ground, but Shin grabbed his sword and was in midair. He dodged their attack, and they were surprised to see him. Shin had regained possession of his sword, and the boss held his servant in front of him to shield himself from Shin's attack. Shin swung his sword and killed him. The boss was also injured in this attack. Shin explained that they were all organ traffickers. He was shocked from hearing this. No matter how much Shin thought, he couldn't believe that they were working together under mutual trust. He knew that they were seeking mana stones through organ transplantation. The leader was smiling because it made no difference. He attempted to attack Shin with a sword, but halted before reaching him. Shin had activated his Demon Bash ability. As he stopped, Shin stood up and said it was over. As leader has always killed others, so he didn't want to die this way. Shin approached him and asked, "Haven't you felt this way before killing others?" Shin placed his sword on his shoulder and asked, "Are you afraid? But now it's your turn." Shin killed him. He was washing his sword from the blood he had shed. He shouldn't get used to being in such situations because one day he might get a chance to become a constellation. But he thought that all this was for his self-defense. He looked at the artifacts he had obtained from them, as all the artifacts would become his sustenance. With this, today's episode concludes. We will see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe to my channel.